Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. We're celebrating National Parkinson's Disease Awareness here on this Facebook Live today. I'm Tricia Keith, Executive Vice President, Chief of Staff, and Corporate Secretary at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. And with us today is Tigers legend Kirk Gibson. We're so excited to have you here today.
Well, thank you. It's a little bit of an overstay. I wouldn't say I'm a legend, but I did my part. Can I loosen my voice up? I might have to teach you. Are you ready?
I'll practice too.
Little Parky practice. Be on your toes.
You never know what you're going to get here at Facebook Live, right?
That's right.
So, of course, we know that Kirk Gibson is such a Tigers legend. We're so excited that he's here today. He's most known for leading the Tigers to the World Series championship in 1984. He's also a Tigers broadcaster on Fox Sports Detroit. Well, we're here to talk with him today about his role as the founder of the Kirk Gibson Foundation for Parkinson's Research. And thank you so much again for being with us here today. So Parkinson's affects nearly 1 million people, and we have about 60,000 people being diagnosed each year here in the U.S. It affects the portion of your brain that controls your movement. And can you tell us a little bit about your history, Kirk?
Well, what is Parkinson's? How do you realize you have it? It affects the substantia nigra, and there are neurons there that produce dopamine, and dopamine coordinates your movements. So, I may appear rigid. You might see my eyes kind of flutter. This hand right here, the back, is affected. So the right side of your brain affects your left side of your body. That's where I have most of the damage. You don't show any symptoms until probably 70 to 80% of your neurons are affected. So there's various theories on why people contract Parkinson's or why it affects them. The one thing we do know, it's not one thing, it's a combination of many things. So it's a complex puzzle, and it's my belief through my foundation, through cooperation, collaboration, and teamwork, that will make a difference and accelerate finding a cure. Now, in the meantime, many people are affected. The number you gave are people that we know have it. I would say there are many that don't know they have it. After I was diagnosed in April of 2015, looking back and thinking back, the first symptom that I can remember was back in 2007. I would shave with my right hand, and this hand would start to clutch up. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. And then all of a sudden my gait became altered. I noticed maybe my speech was a little slurred. And these symptoms, I had a real stiff neck, and I was kind of walking around like this. And being a major league manager at the time, I see doctors and I see trainers every day, and they thought it was more orthopedically inclined was the reason, because I'd been an athlete my whole life, elementary, junior high, high school, played 4 years of football at Michigan State, then 17 years of baseball in the major leagues. And I wasn't shy about using everything that I had. I was an all-out guy, and my philosophy has always been go till you blow, so I always push the limits. Because of that, they thought it was like, they examined my neck. I had neck surgery. Then they went to my shoulder, and they thought I had a chromium plus, where they went in there and filed on a bone spur. But they did some neurological tests, and they kind of missed it. And we continued to try and figure out what I could have done, or is it just arthritic conditions from past injuries. But when I got on TV in April of 2015, our opening day, I felt an anxiety that I'd never felt. Like I don't get nervous, I get fired up. Mm-hmm. It's like game on. It's like we got to bring it every day. And I was sitting there thinking, I got to bring it, but I didn't have much to give. So I kind of stumbled through the pregame, the game, then we got the postgame. I had a Miguel Cabrera that I was supposed to talk about, and then they dropped the tape in there. It was a highlight package on Miguel, and it was taped, but they were it came to me and I couldn't talk. And so he said, let's do it again. It got worse, and I just took my mic off and said, I can't do this, I'll explain later. I called a good friend of mine, Peter Secchia in Grand Rapids. Honestly, I realized after a while, maybe this is more than an athletic injury, but you deny it, you live a little bit in denial. Because you don't want it to be something different, and it's scary. But he had said something to my daughter at a MSU football game, thought maybe I had a mini stroke or something like that. And I went in and saw the doctor in Grand Rapids, and he said, I think you have Parkinson's symptoms, and they sent me to a neurologist and a movement specialist. And then really within a day, I was diagnosed, and I had a new normal that I was faced with. You feel like, oh no, I'm going to die, but it's not a death sentence. You have a choice to make, and you can live a productive life. You have some things to deal with, but I've always been taught to get up when you get knocked down.
Thank you for sharing that. Can you talk to us about how that transition has been from going from such a healthy, active lifestyle to this new normal, and what some of the tricks of the trade have been in your adjustment?
Well, the first thing is you have to understand what you're up against, exactly what you can and cannot overcome. So there may be some limitations. You need to come up with a good plan of how you're going to deal with it. My foundation in Michigan, Parkinson's Foundation right now, we're joining together, we're collaborating together, we're being good teammates and trying to help as many people in this process that you're talking about. It's one of the things that we raise money for, to help people, many that don't even have insurance, or many that have insurance but then it runs out, because it's easier for some than others. But you need to get a good plan. You have a medication, there are various options, and then you have various therapies, various programs, outreach programs. We're trying to provide as many of those as you can. What I did was I went with my medicine. I tried to stay off as much as I could. I went to a program for my voice and for my movements, because your posture, my posture was all wacky. My voice was really, so when, this kind of brings it to it, why we started the live session going, it's because you have to learn how to use your voice again. It's weaker, it's fainter, it's smaller, it's slower. So you have to learn to concentrate how to articulate. You need to, like an opera singer, we generally project out with our vocal cords and maybe more naturally from the diaphragm. But when you have Parkinson's, that's all affected. So, we came up with a plan. I did the therapies. I learned the therapies, and since that time, I work on it daily, but I've expanded and created some therapies of my own. Walking is really good. Walking with cognitive exercises, so you're walking and you're practicing on pumping your arms with your legs, because when I walk, my left hand just kind of lays there because of the Parkinson's. And so you walk like that, and then all of a sudden I may walk and say, count backwards from 69 by 3, so you're walking. You add a cognitive exercise, and then you're walking, pumping your arms, counting backwards by 3, and you're turning your head when you do it. These are all things that may seem easy, and many people without Parkinson's may find it hard to do that, but when you have Parkinson's, it's more accelerated, and it's critical, because you need to continue to use it. you need to find a way to do it. Like what you have available as a resource today, you may not have tomorrow or in 5-10 years from now. I see a curb, I'm going to walk the curb 1 foot in front of the other. I'm going to play ping pong. I'm going to go to my pool table every day and reach down in that thing because it's not normal. Like my big movements are pretty much okay. When you get to the smaller movements, it's harder. To me to button that button up there, it'd be harder. My writing becomes smaller. So you've got to constantly attack what's attacking you. That's a philosophy that I've implemented. You're supposed to take your medication every day, which I didn't do for the first time in a long time yesterday. And you just have to understand how to regulate and govern what you have available. If you're going to travel, it's going to affect you differently. If you're going to go out and drink alcohol, it's going to affect you differently. If you don't sleep, it's going to affect you. If you do all three of those, it's really going to be tough. And one of the side effects of Parkinson's is lack of sleep. So you have to find ways to sleep. I mean, there's just, it's a challenge. You have to understand what you're up against, and you have to come up with a formula, and you have to have a good caregiver. And certainly my wife, Joanne, I feel guilty, and people who have Parkinson's feel guilty about that because it is different. I am slower, and it takes a ton of patience, and I didn't sign up for it, neither did she, my children, my friends. But what you'll find out, if anybody thinks they may have it that's watching us today, that's probably one of the reasons you're watching, or you think somebody may have it. I came out and told everybody, okay? Because I didn't want to hide anymore. What's wrong with Gibby? Why is he's walking funny? He seems something's happened to him. That's one thing I got off my mind. Then the other thing, it was incredible, the support that you'll get from your friends and your family and all those that are in this to provide happiness and productivity in our society.
Well, thank you for your openness in talking about this and raising that awareness. We do know that Parkinson's is one of those diseases that is often underdiagnosed or very slow in its diagnosis because of the progression of the disease. And so what advice do you have for those who think they may be encountering Parkinson's?
Well, I would go see a neurologist and a movement specialist because there are a few tests that can really pretty much absolutely rule it in or rule it out. You might start with your general pediatrician, your family pediatrician or internist. They'll probably have a good idea. Ultimately, I think, as far as I know, you need to go to a movement specialist. And my foundation, what we do is we help others in situations like this. That's why, again, we're partnering up with Michigan Parkinson's Foundation. They have programs, they have respite programs, they have outreach programs, and that would be a good place in Michigan, or you could call the National Institute of Parkinson's as well.
Great, thank you. You mentioned Joanne, and you mentioned caregivers, et cetera, and the critical role that they play. We know that from a lot of the other awareness campaigns that we've had with other major diseases that have happened. And so do you have any advice for your caregivers of those with Parkinson's?
Well, patience, but you know what? It comes down to the foundation of how what you stand for as a family. I was fortunate that I grew up in a very close family. I've also had a lot of friends that have families that aren't as close. And again, when circumstances like this come up, it's good to have support. We believe we're together every step of the way, for better, for worse, through thick, through thin. And life is, and family and friends and society is supposed to be a big team. We're supposed to all be pulling together. So one of the things that I've done is I've created a program where people who insurance has run out, we pay for their continuation of therapies. And we started as a pilot program. What we found out was for not only the people affected with Parkinson's is it good, but the caregivers got together, and you have to talk about it because I'm sure Joanne's sitting over there wiggling right now at some of the stories that I could tell. But you know, it's required a lot of conversation, a lot of communication, and one of the things that I did not do initially was tell her what I was feeling, because you're going to be shy about certain things. Maybe you'll be embarrassed about certain things, you know. And she would say, "Well, please tell me. I want to hear it." And it's hard for you to do it, but you might have a conversation with me, and you can look at my face and see that I have Parkinson's face, because your face just kind of goes, you know, the movement and the articulation and the voice. So you may ask me a question and I may answer it totally normal and in full support, but because of the presentation of my looks, I might say, "Oh yeah, I'd love to do that." Or I might say, "Sure, I'd love to do that." And she'd go, "Oh, are you serious? Or are you just saying that?" Right. Just by looking. So you have to really communicate and let others know what you're feeling, what's going on. And depression, and I funded a study, a clinical study with Michigan State University on depression. Age has something to do with it as well. But you're going to fight depression, I think, with this disease. It is one of the side effects. And every time you go to see your doctor, your neurologist, you know, there's some questions on there. They're trying to see if you're depressed, and you know, what do you do if you're depressed? But again, if your caregivers and if people who are around you that support you understand what you're going through, then they can start to recognize some of the symptoms or that type of behavior, and they're able to help you get beyond that. And in my case, my family's been off the charts. My friends, the guys that I went to college with, my teammates, and my fans, it's been incredible. And you know, this journey has just begun, and I plan on using every step of the way to be as visible as I can, so others will understand how serious Parkinson's is, where it's going, and not only Parkinson's, but there's so many other causes that you should want to become a part of. It will change your life to understand what people, you know, when I came out of my career and retired, I felt invincible. And some of you may feel invincible as well. But I'll tell you what, we're all susceptible to change quickly. And I would just recommend that maybe get on the other side of the fence, other side of the tracks. The grass isn't greener over there, and you know, this will round your life and you'll be prepared to better deal with it.
You talked about the partnership that you have and how important it is with team. I know at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, we're thrilled to be partnering with you to raise awareness this year with this initiative. Let's talk about your foundation a little bit, though. So you originally founded the foundation in 1996, and I think your focus at that point was around providing scholarship for students. At that time, the mission of the foundation has changed over time to Parkinson's. And so can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yes, my mother and father were both educators, so my father has passed, and we did a scholarship, partial scholarships at Waterford Kettering High School where he taught, and that's where I went to school. in his memory, and then for my mom, who worked 30 years at Clarkson High School. So we were just providing that, and I would sell memorabilia, some of my memorabilia for that to fund it. And then when I had Parkinson's, we expanded our mission to promote teamwork, collaboration, and cooperation. My general philosophy and theory on that is, I'll give a cheap analogy that everybody can probably deal with. If this table was filled with a puzzle right now, and I walked in here and you were sitting here looking for a while, you ever get stuck in a puzzle?
I have.
And I walked up and put one piece in, then what happens?
Well, I'm happy for the help, but I'm wondering why I couldn't figure it out,
yeah,
right?
but you also get the next 10.
That's true.
So, it's like a piggyback philosophy. And all the things that I've accomplished athletically have been because of my teammates, not just me. I mean, I had some great moments. Your family, your friends, anything you've done productive in society or life, you've had support, and there's been great teamwork. Again, that's my belief. The other part about it is when you're successful in whatever you do, it's more fun to share it with somebody than it is to keep it to yourself.
Right.
And I won the most valuable player in 1988 with the Dodgers. We had a little gathering. There was a bunch of media there and 60 friends, and it sucked because I just thought, I felt guilty because I didn't do it myself. But we had the parade with Dodgers, 1.5 million people. That was fun. Everybody was there. And, when you win a World Series like we did here in 1984 in Detroit, for a second, we all felt good. And that's a cool feeling to be a part of that. And, when I wasn't that good on certain days, Darrell Evans was good, or Alan Trammell was good, or if I was dragging, Tram would say, "Come on, Gib, let's go. We got to bring it today." So my philosophy is just, you don't always radiate towards teammates, but when you get to know them, when you communicate, it's amazing what you can accomplish together. And that's what I'm trying to do with my foundation now. We've expanded our mission. First as a private foundation, and now as a public foundation. And our mission and our opportunity is outstanding. And we have some events, and our event coming up in collaboration with Michigan Parkinson's Foundation and Blue Cross Blue Shield is you can go to evsp.org. Everybody versus Parkinson. And we need we got to attack. We got to have a line. We got to go. And, one sector lags, the other goes. It's just like relentless pursuit of a cure. And in the process, helping each other to deal with this disease and understanding that living with the new normal is not all that bad.
Thank you. Well, thanks so much for being with us here today. I know at Blue Cross, we're very excited to be partnering. You mentioned the Everybody versus Parkinson's Gala event that's going to be held on October 19th at Motor City Soundboard here in Detroit. We're so excited to be partnering with both your foundation and the Michigan Parkinson's Foundation to do that. Information can be found on that in a number of places, eventbrite.com, kirkgibsonfoundation.org. We're very excited about that and look for more to come out there. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with as we get ready to thank our viewers for being with us today?
Well, thank you everybody for listening to what we had to say. Thank you, Tricia, and Blue Cross Blue Shield. My goal is to, first of all, help people be aware of what they may have and be aware how they can help. And I would welcome anybody to go to my webpage, kirkgibsonfoundation.org, or Michigan Parkinson's Foundation. And if you've got a question, and if you need me to talk to somebody, I've done so many of these. I'll tell you one last story. I was in Lakeland, Florida at spring training, and I got in the elevator, and this lady said, "Oh my gosh, Kirk Gibson." I said, "Yeah, how you doing, ma'am? You having a good day?" She said, "Oh, my husband, he's got Parkinson's." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, where's he at?" And she goes, well, he's in the room. I go, how's he doing? She goes, not very good. So, well, let's go out and talk to him. She's like, oh, I don't know. I said, yeah, let's go out and talk to him. So we got up and we went in the room and we talked for a while. And he was struggling, you know, which I know, and I've done this many times. And I said, well, you know, he wasn't walking very good. And I said, let's stand here and just pump our arms, just walk in place. And he goes, man, I can't move my hands. I can't move my arms. I said, come on. I said, and I went over and I started moving his arms for him, whatever, he was moving. So I said, you did a good job. He goes, I did? I said, it was an excellent job. So he goes, wow, I can't believe you came up here. Thank you very much. I said, thank you. How about a handshake? He stuck his hand out and shook my hand. I said, how about a hug? He put his arms around my neck. He gave me a hug. I said, I thought you couldn't lift your arms.
Right.
And so you have a choice, but I get what the disease does, okay? And it's following our websites, coming to the gala will help you understand what it does. Now, you know, I know people, I do the TV for the Tigers. I know I have Parky face. I know I have a dull voice, okay? But it's not gonna stop me, okay? And I hope that I can show leadership and to others that some people are gonna say things about it. They're gonna look at you. I get it, but I don't care. I don't want you to care. I want us to get together, band together, and if people have a better awareness of what we're going through. It's not a big deal. I may be smaller, I may be slower, my gait may be bad, my balance may be bad, but I'm still me.
So never stop attacking. What's attacking you is one of the things I heard today in teamwork, collaboration. That's what we're trying to talk about today as we raise awareness at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan with the Kirk Gibson Foundation for Parkinson's. Thank you for being with us today.